Simon here from the Speak Up Academy, and welcome to this module. So in this module we're going to be looking at content creation. We're going to be looking at how do we craft content that our audience desire, how do we create content that engages them and make sure they're focused the whole way through, and how do we create content that inspires them to take action at the next level. Once you've gone through these modules and you go through our step-by-step system, you're going to have a script that is not only engaging, but it's inspiring. So make sure you listen carefully to the video. If you need to pause at any time, do so you can start jotting stuff down. And at the end, I'm going to set an exercise for you to make sure that you understand every single element. Enjoy the video. So I want you to start off by imagining this. You have signed up to a seminar and it's a topic that you're genuinely interested in. You're looking forward to the speaker, you're looking forward to the content that you're going to learn about. So you come in and you turn up on the day and you sit in your seat and you look around and there's quite a lot of people. So you start getting your phone out and start tweeting about it, about your excitement, and then the MC comes on stage. And so the MC comes on stage and he starts introducing the whole seminar. And he might say something like, today we have a guest speaker, and let's say the niche is weight loss, and he is going to be talking about the 7 steps to losing weight in 7 days. And you start getting really interested. And then the MC starts going through his qualifications and about the people he's helped in the past. And you carry on listening in anticipation, and then the final sentence drops. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Simon Long! And you start clapping. And he comes on stage to a highly energetic audience. And then he just looks out on the audience and starts rustling his piece of paper. And then he starts clicking on his mouse and sets up the PowerPoint behind him. And you see his first line just filled with bullet points. The whole energy in that room that was present has now completely eliminated. And then he starts talking. I'm really happy to be here. I can't wait to be sharing with you the 7 steps to weight loss in 7 days. I hope you're excited. The first step is this. And he goes on and on and on. Now, that's a big exaggeration to a speaker, but that's what I call a boring speaker. Boring. You, as speakers, cannot be boring. You've got to promise to yourself and say, I'm never going to be a boring speaker. Why? Because it's important for you to be memorable and inspiring. You see, the thing is that most speakers are average, and you've got to step out from the crowd in order to stand out from your competitors. You've got to be able to provoke emotion to the audience, you've got to be able to engage them, and you've got to be able to draw them in. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you some strategies on how to do this. How to create content that's digestible. Because when you have content that's digestible, people are able to take that content in, sink it in their brain, anchor it, and then go away and use it in their own lives. And that's your ultimate goal. You want to have an audience that love what you do and who want to listen to your every word. An audience that are inspired by the end of it and they're responsive. So for example, when you ask them to participate, they're more than willing to do so. Your goal as a speaker is to add as much value as possible so that every single person in your audience want to take on your information and use it in their own lives. And when you have information in that sense, people will automatically connect with you and want to work with you in the future. Now, I hope you found this useful, and we've got a lot more coming. Sound good? Great. Well, if you carry on with the video, you're going to learn a lot. So, to design great content, first of all, what we need to do is we need to understand what great content is. So what is it that when you go to seminars that really makes you feel great and fantastic? And on the other hand, what is it that makes content really dull and boring and drawn out, because when you understand what great content is, you're in a better position to actually design great content. So great content possesses 4 key elements. The first element is great content has to be persuasive. So you've got a message to share as a speaker, and as a speaker what you've got to do is persuade your audience to understand what you're saying and then get them to act on it. That's the first thing that you need to understand. The second thing is that content needs to be engaging, so that they're focused on you as a speaker and not with their mobile phones, not with what's in their pocket, not what's going on around them, but focused on you. The biggest thing that you have to understand is you're going to be going through points in a logical sequence, and sometimes when you miss out one sequence, the rest doesn't make sense. So you've got to have your audience constantly engaged so they understand step by step what's going on, and they can link it all together. The third thing that needs to be is it needs to be memorable. What is it in your content that makes it memorable and they can go away after the seminar and actually act upon it? So that's the third thing. And the final thing is it's got to be inspiring. Okay? When your content is inspiring, what happens is your audience are captivated by it. They're so inspired, they go away, they tell their friends about it. They can't wait to act upon it. They start going on forums on their social media and start writing about the great experience they've had. When you can inspire your audience, you're on your way to creating great content and having a great seminar. Now, this seminar, I'm going to show you step by step the ways to create great content. And there's 5 key elements that you need to have. So, I'm hoping that you're ready. Strap yourself in and pause when you feel like pausing, because we're going to be going through a lot of content in a very short space of time, and it's important that you pause the video when you need to so you can really think about your niche and how you can incorporate it in. Alright, the first key element to great content is this. The first key element is to define your end result. What do I mean by this? Well, you need to be able to define what it is that you want your audience to take away with them. What is it that you want your audience to go away and tell people about? What is it that you want the key message to be? This is so important to define, because this is what I call the bigger picture. This is what glues all your content together. Let's say you have a 90-minute seminar. The end result might be a bit simpler, but let's say you do a 1-day boot camp. You're going to be going through a lot of different topics, and these topics need to all link together. Let's say we have 4 topics in your seminar. Topic 1, Topic 2, Topic 3, Topic 4. In each of these topics, you're likely going to have a different message within each one. But what you've got to do is glue it with the end result. So that when you finish with topic 1, it glues to the end result. Topic 2 glues with the end result. And the same here, and the same here. When you've got all these topics that all link to this one end result, it's a really good way of helping your audience understand the bigger picture. And when people understand the bigger picture, they understand why you're doing it, and they're able to take it in and absorb the content a lot better. Okay? So that's the first key element. Define your end result. What is it that you want your audience to take away, and what is the key message? Define that really clearly and write it down. So that's step number 1. We're going to go through the second step now, and this is what it is. The second step is to create a good statement. Now, I showed you the different topics we had, and within each of these topics you need to have a key statement, and it's what I call a sexy title. When you have a sexy title, people are drawn in to what you have to say, and the sexier the better. So let me give you an example. You could call your topic something like losing weight, or how to lose weight. But what you want to do is create it much more deeper and much more crisper. So it could be something like how to lose weight in 30 days, or how to lose weight permanently, or how to never ever go on a diet ever again. And what you find with these titles that I'm giving you, they're more captivating, they're more engaging. And when they're more captivating and engaging, people are more drawn and ready to listen to what you have to say. Now, a very key important thing that you need to do in this area is to give people this. Give people the reasons. People need to know why you're teaching them what you teach them. People need to know why it's important, why they need to listen to you, and why now. Why should they sit through the whole seminar and listen to you right here, right now? Because the thing is that people are not always drawn to what you have to say, but if you can define why they need to listen, they're much more likely to engage with your content and take it on board. So let me give you an example. If I talk to you about weight loss and I go straight into the topic, in order to lose weight, you need to do 2 key things: eat less, exercise more. People go, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. But they don't have any reason to act on it right now and listen to the diet and the plans that you have. But if you say something on the lines of, if you don't do it now, you're not going to do it tomorrow. And if you don't do it tomorrow, you're not going to do it the next day. And a week goes past and a month goes past and you're still in the same situation. And you have this mindset where you think to yourself, I can't do it. And when you get to that mindset, you're in a really dark place because you kind of dismiss what's possible. See what I'm doing here? I'm giving you the reasons why you listen to it now. And if I carry on going, then people will understand why they should listen. Another powerful thing to do here is this. Here, you can also go through why they need to listen, okay? The need is what gets people in action. When you have a strong need, people will act on your message. And when they act on your message, they need to understand how to act on it. So your content, as it trickles along, when people understand the need, they're more likely to act, okay? So the step number 1, we talked about end result. Step number 2, it's all about creating a statement. I'm going on to step number 3 now. Step number 3 is creating examples, okay? Or a way to demonstrate the statement you've given. Now, the reason you need to do this is it helps anchor information to the brain so they can remember it. Because in the brain there are 2 parts. So this is the brain. We have the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. The left side of the brain is all about the logic, okay? Step by steps, it's all about information, it's all about statistics, it's all about information that's logical. The other side is this. It's the creative side of the brain, and this is more of a visual side of the brain, picturing stuff, illustration, demonstrations. And what we've done so far with the end result and the statement is we've gone through the logical side of the brain, we broke it down as to why they should listen and the reasons and the needs, and we've also talked about the end result. What we've got to do now is stimulate the right side of the brain, the creative side. And the way we can do that is by demonstrating and illustrating the points we've already given. Now, a very powerful way of doing this is through a story, and I call it the power of a story. Stories are really, really, really powerful. It's a powerful way of connecting with your audience so they understand the point at a deep level and it anchors in their mind through that story. So let me give you an example of how this could work. I teach a topic in public speaking called positioning, and it's all about how people carve their niche and position themselves as the expert in that niche. And I give an example by telling people about a person that I heard about. And he was this guy who was a personal trainer, and in his area there was a lot of different personal trainers, all having different, clients, but all doing exactly the same thing, helping people reach their fitness goals. And so this guy thought, I need to stand out from the crowd so that I can get the clients coming to me instead of going to my competitors. And the way he did this was through the technique called positioning. So what he did was he looked at what was his niche, how could he make it a bit stronger, and he renamed his job title from personal trainer to body transformation expert. Body transformation expert. When he did this, his client base grew, and he now works with high-end clients, he works with celebrities, people who have the money to actually do it. So what he did was he completely changed the way he positioned himself, and it had a really great effect on him. So what I've demonstrated there was how I've used a story to demonstrate a point. So in the real thing, I would go through a statement, why to position himself importantly. Then I'd go through an example, through a story, and anchor it in their mind. And what I did there was reinforce, which is the next element there. Now, your story needs to have 3 key elements to it. The first key element is your intro. Now, what your intro has is it has the problem, okay? So in my story, what I said was he had a problem because there were too many personal trainers in his area and he needed to stand up from the crowd. That was the problem. The second thing is the solution. Okay. When you have your solution, how did he overcome this problem that he had? Well, what he did was he completely positioned himself in a different way, and that positioning helped him gain more clients, gain more celebrities, higher paying clients, increase his revenue. And what I've done here is I start with my intro, my problems, I then go into my solution, and I finally have my end result. Your story needs to have all these 4 elements in order to be a successful story. Okay? And it's important to make sure once you finish your story, in your results section, to link it back to your statement. Okay? So that's the third element that you need to be able to do. Now I'm going to show you the 4th element. The 4th element is interactive. So far we've gone through our statement and we've given our example and we've backed it all up by our big end result, our bigger picture. Now we've got to make it a bit more interactive. And let me tell you the reason why. Now, people learn in 3 different ways. The first way people learn is passively. Now, we've all learned passively in the past. This is where you might listen to something and it goes in one ear and it sort of turns around the brain and goes out the other, but passively we're learning from it. And every speaker will have elements where passive learning takes place. Why? Well, some people might be a bit bored in that element. Some people might have learned it before. Some people don't think it interests that much and therefore they passively take it past. This is the first element, is passive learning. The second element is this. The second element is active learning. And I've done some active learning with you today by basing what I'm teaching you on a story or illustrating a point. And this is active learning. It's helping you use your point and giving it that second thing. It's anchored by that story and example. But the key element that we're going to talk about in this one is this. Interactive learning. This is the best type of learning. Now, sometimes what you might do when you're teaching is you might go through these stages and finish off with interactive learning. You don't have to, but that's one way of doing it. And interactive learning is people learning by doing. Now, people learn in loads of different ways. People learn by hearing, listening, by seeing, by watching, but also by doing. For me, I learn a lot by doing. And for public speakers, such as yourselves who are going to be them, you need to do a lot of doing. Because as speakers, you've got to have a lot of stage time in order to be able to speak effectively. And the more stage time you have, the better you are. Now, in your seminars or in your presentations, you can incorporate this. You can do it at a very minor level. For example, you might ask a rhetorical question, which gets them to think in their mind. And that's a way of interacting with the audience, right? You might ask a question and they go, yeah, no, in their mind. That's a way of doing it. You might say something like, picture this, and give an imagery or set a context in their mind. That's interacting with the audience. You know, a bit more interactive might be you might ask them to raise their hands at a certain point. You might demand a repetition. So I might say, in order to be able to be a good speaker, you need to be able to do this, this, and this. What is it? And they say this, this, and this. So that's one example of interactive learning. Now, a really good way of interactive learning is getting them to participate in exercises. So it might be that you say, okay, I'm going to give you 20 minutes to undertake this activity. What you need to do is X, Y, Z, using groups of this number, and what I want you to do is produce this. Let me go through it one more time so you understand. A, B, C, D, E, off you go. Now what they're going to do is they're going to undertake that activity and they're going to learn from it. And this is showing you interactive learning. Now, when you have interactive learning, and you have active learning, and you have passive income all in one, people can anchor it in their mind a lot better. So that's the fourth element. Now, the final element is very, very crucial, and is this. The final element is reinforcing. This is really important because people need to understand the bigger picture. So we've given our end result and that's in the back of their mind. You've gone through the different statements. You then give an example and a story to back it up, and you might have done an activity to glue it all together. But your reinforcing is the most crucial part, because you might tell a story and you might do an activity, but unless they know why you've done it and how it links to that main point, you're going to suffer from people not understanding why you've done it. Okay? So what it is an example, it's an opportunity for you to go full circle. Now, most presenters, what they do when they reinforce is they have a PowerPoint with slides in the back and bullet points. And as a speaker, they go through, what we went through first was this, and this is this. Second, we did this, this, and this. Third, we did this. And they go through a list. Now, if you do it effectively, it can work, but a lot of presenters don't do it in a very engaging way. So, let me show you an example of a way we can do it more engagingly. And this is what I call the lazy reinforcing, but effective, okay? So what you might do is you might have a few points on the board, and you might say to the group, you might say, what I want you to do is work in pairs and go through these points and tell them, the person next to you, and teach them what you've learned. A lot of people learn by teaching, and it's a really effective way of doing it. A second thing you might do is you might ask the audience and say, what have you learned today? Raise your hands if you learned something. And someone might raise their hands, and then you might go, what have you learned? And you ask them, and they tell you, go, yes, that's very important. This is what she's learned, fantastic. Someone else might give a point, okay? So this is a really effective way of reinforcing it, is using the audience and getting them to participate in your reinforcing element. So this is what I want you to do in your reinforcing. I'm going to go through the things that we've learned in this video together, and I want you to go through each point and tell me what you've learned, okay? So first, we went through the end result. Secondly, we looked at how in a sexy title, what we call a statement. Third, we looked at an example, how we can use stories to illustrate points to back up our statements. Fourth, we looked at interactive learning, getting people to participate and not just listen. So they're not just passively learning and actively learning, they're interacting too. And finally, we talked about how important it is to reinforce and some more effective ways that you can do it. So what I want you to do at this point is to pause the video and go through each of these points so that you're clear as to how you can use them in your seminars and presentations. So I hope you found the video useful so far and you've recapped these 5 steps. What I want to do is recap them with you this time so that you're very clear on what each step means and how you can use it. At the end of this video, I need you to do this exercise where you go through each and every step, think about what your niche is, think about what your goals are, and actually implement them in. Because once you've got this, this is going to be the basis of your exercise. So the first thing we went through was the end result. What is it that you want your audience to take away with them? What is it that you want them to act on when they leave? So that's got to be clearly defined, and what I recommend is at the top of your piece of paper, write it really big what your end result is. Okay, so the second thing that we did was we looked at statements, and I called it sexy titles. Every single topic that links to this end result needs to have its own sexy topic. A topic that's captivating, it's engaging, and that gets people want to listen to more. The more engaging this topic is and this title is, the more likely they are to listen to it. And remember also, within this section, you need to start to think about what the problems and needs there are and restate them to the audience. Because what this is going to do is it's going to get your audience to listen to your talk and not zone out. Okay, the third thing is the example. Now, what I showed you was how to craft a story and the 3 stages that a story needs to be effective. I would recommend creating a story, but if you have any examples that you can use them. Any videos that will be powerful, use them. Think about stuff that will really back up your statement and get people to understand why you are teaching what you're teaching. Because these are things that are going to be anchored in their minds when they leave. The fourth thing that we talked about was an interactive activity. Think about an activity that can really show off your statement and get them to think, aha, that is why it's important. The thing is, when you have something that's interactive, that statement's going to lock in with that interactive activity. And when they go away and they talk about their experience with their friends and family, they're going to be talking about this interactive activity and how it made them feel. So, rounding it up all is number 5, reinforcing. So, this is where you go through the activity they've done, why it's been useful to them, and why it's important, and going full circle on everything you've taught them in that session. Now, in this session, what I'd also recommend is when you finish off, is to link it back up to that end result, so that every single topic's glued together in this bigger picture. So, what I need you to do is to go through these 5 simple steps and actually craft out a script. Practice the script and perform it in front of your friends and family and see what they have to say about it. If you're too shy about that for the minute, record it yourself on a video camera, watch it back and give yourself some critical feedback as to how it could be better. This is Simon from the Speak Up Academy.
On 5.